All right then, we are over halfway of how to resole a shoe with no heavy machinery, hand tools only, so you can do it at home. Part 4, we will apply the Randing. Okay, first up, we're going to take our Dremel and we're going to sand the bottom of the shoe. It's really important when you're working with leather, shoemaking, cobbling, that when you want to glue one piece of material onto another, you create some tooth so that the glue can bond and stick. So we'll sand that down and we'll make sure that every piece where we're going to apply glue has been sanded. Don't miss a spot. When you were lasting on the heel and the toe, you might have created these small bumps in your pleating. This is your chance to remove those. You can sand them down. One small tip, make sure that you're sanding clockwise to the direction the material is going. Like you can see here, if the Dremel wheel is going the other way, it's going to kick back the lever and you're going to undo that gluing that you've already done. So get rid of any bumps, sand them down. You want it nice, flat and smooth. It's really important when you're sanding that you go right up to the feather edge. The feather edge is the edge where the side of the last turns into the bottom of the last and it creates an edge around the shoe. You can see here, even in this example, that we want to go a little bit further than what you can see in the video. You want to bring that sanding right up to that feather edge, and if anything, a couple of millimeters past it, because the way the Randing sits on the shoe, it also comes up a couple of millimeters on the side of the shoe. And it's really important to remember when you're using glue to bond any material to leather, if you don't create that friction, that tooth, and if you don't add glue in the area, it's just not going to stick. So better safe than sorry. Make sure it's very well sanded right to the edge and a couple millimeters past it. Okay, now it's time to measure our Randing. So Randing is a long piece of leather or rubber material that is glued onto the bottom of the shoe to give enough surface area to then glue outsoles or midsoles onto the bottom. It's a great way to make a shoe repairable, and you often see it in all types of shoes. And the whole point of it is to give an appearance of a fake welt. So the traditional, more expensive and better version of this is welting the shoe and stitching down into a midsole piece of leather. But this is a version that's a lot cheaper and easier to do. You don't need any heavy machinery, and it's the way shoes have been made and repaired for a very long time. So we're going to measure the piece of material around the shoe, mark the point, and then cut it off. And you're going to make sure to give yourself about 2 to 3 centimeters of excess Randing. Okay, now we're ready to glue the Randing and the shoe, so we can stick the Randing onto the bottom of the shoe here. So like we did when we were lasting, we're going to give a coat of glue on the shoe, and then a coat of glue on the Randing. We're going to let it dry for a few minutes so it gets touch dry, and then we're going to heat activate and we're going to apply the Randing to the shoe. Always remember, if the glue's not there, it's not going to stick. So make sure you remember that this is a contact glue. So the glue needs to be both on the shoe and on the piece of Randing. And if there's a little piece, a little patch missing where there is no glue, it's just not going to stick there and you're going to cause yourself some problems. So once your shoe is glued, you're now going to glue your Randing. We let it dry so it gets touch dry so that we can then heat activate the glue. It creates a lot stronger bond than if you just applied the glue when wet, which you can do, but our whole technique, our whole process requires us to reactivate the glue with a heat gun. So you're just going to work your way along the piece of Randing that you've cut. Make sure you don't miss any spots. And the glue we're using here is called Rainer Multi-Purpose Adhesive. So give that a glue and then let it dry for a few minutes and we'll be ready to stick the Randing onto the shoe. Okay, the glue is now touch dry and we're ready to apply the Randing to the bottom of the shoe. So we're going to use the heat gun here to apply a bit of heat both onto the shoe and the Randing, and then we're going to press and stick the Randing onto the shoe. If you're working with leather Randing, you'll notice that it's very malleable. You can sort of press it into place. And as you can see, It's very detailed work. Take your time, getting in very closely here and making sure that it sticks well. And there you go. Take it piece by piece. So you don't have to heat up the whole piece of Randing. You don't have to heat up the whole piece of shoe. Just work your way around slowly in stages. It's going to bring it around here, pressing it into place. You want to ensure the Randing is sitting flat and snug to the shoe. So make sure that the bottom of the Randing, where the small little zigzag teeth are sitting flush, so that when we stick our outsole on the bottom, we're going to get a nice flat surface to apply it. We're working our way around the shoe here. We've got to the toe and just taking it piece by piece, just warming it up, heating it up as we need, making sure that there's a good stick and a good bond to the shoe, hitting it from the top just so the Randing gets some heat and the glue's activated, and then also the bottom, and it will just stick snugly there onto the shoe. So when you get to the end, you're going to have some excess Randing that you're just going to need to snip. So measure by eye where it's going to fit in there, and then you're going to just snip it with the scissors or the scalpel and glue it into place. So that's it. Your Randing is now attached to your shoe. You're going to take your hammer and give it a hit. This will increase the bond and ensure that the piece of Randing is stuck securely onto the shoe. And there you go. The Randing's on the shoe. It's ready for the next step. So join us for the final video where we will attach our outsole onto the shoe, and that'll be it. Finished Resole Puma King.